very happy little baby and he interacted a lot, so it came as rather a shock when he suddenly stopped interacting and he didn't seem to learn to do anything. He couldn't sit up for a long time. He wasn't really looking us in the eye at all. Because there's another member of our family who is on the autistic spectrum, we did recognise the signs quite quickly, which is good, because it meant that Charlie could get put forward for diagnosis a lot quicker than he might have been otherwise. I think if we hadn't known what to look for, it probably would have been another year or so later before anybody started asking the questions to the healthcare professionals, and it would have delayed things a lot. Even with the diagnosis happening as early as it did, it still delayed things for Charlie, and he did start school later. Anyway, it can be difficult to know how to interact with a child who's autistic, especially when they're shutting themselves off from you. They won't look at you, they seem to be in their own little bubble, and every autistic child's going to be different. I think what you've got to do is try to find something that you feel comfortable with, that's not distressing the child at all, and that shows that you are interacting, but without taking it too far, being in their face all the time. Just making sure that the child knows that you're there, whether they seem to be taking any notice or not, because half the time you really have no idea what the autistic child's taking in. And with Charlie, for a long time, we really didn't know whether he was listening to what we were saying, watching what we were doing. It turns out that it was all for the best, because it seems that he has learned a lot just from watching and listening that we weren't aware that he was doing. But for quite some time with Charlie, I found it difficult because he didn't want to play with me. He didn't react to his name. In fact, one of the first things that made us think there might be something wrong was that he wasn't reacting to sounds, and he had to have hearing tests to check that there was nothing wrong with his hearing. So it's quite hard when you just want to play games with a little child and have fun and do the things that you would normally do. But I don't see him that often. He lives on the other side of the country to me, so when I do see him, I do make a special effort to try to be with him. And even if it's just sitting there and laughing at things he's doing, looking at things that he's playing with, and just speaking to him when it's necessary, I guess, so that he knows that I'm there, and then it's up to him to decide when he wants to come to me and what he wants from me. Since he started school, things have changed a lot, and he does make eye contact a lot. It's his way of sort of saying, I'm here, let's play, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And so he will come over and he'll look at me and he'll giggle and he'll bring me things, and it sounds terrible, but he's so much more fun now that he wants to interact as well. And we've got his school to thank for that, because they've been absolutely fabulous with him. They've made such a difference to his life. But some people are going to find it difficult even when Charlie is running around happy and playing and wanting to play games, because he is completely non-verbal at the moment. The noises that he makes, they're meaningless. We know that he's happy or that he's sad, but we don't know what he's saying. And so some people are always going to find it difficult to cope with a child who cannot speak and cannot express what they want. I know that my husband, Alan, found Charlie to be very difficult. Although he understood the situation and what autism was, what it meant for the child, he didn't know how to deal with it. He likes to have a solution and to go in there and fix things, and this is something that he can't fix. And he told me once that he sees Charlie a bit like a cat. A cat does what it wants to do when it wants to do it, and to hell with everyone else. And he felt that Charlie was a little bit like that because he couldn't talk to him to say what he wanted. He was cat-like to Alan, so Alan dealt with him in the way that he deals with cats, which was to speak to him when he came to him, but to ignore him the rest of the time and let him get on with things, which I wasn't completely happy about, but everyone's got their own ways of dealing. I do have to say though that this Christmas, when we came to visit Charlie decided that he'd taken quite a fancy to Alan, and we'd just got into the house and Charlie was in the front room watching the TV. Poppy was in the kitchen eating, and because Poppy has been looking forward to seeing me for so long, I went straight into the kitchen to say, "Hi Poppy, happy Christmas Poppy," and Alan went into the front room, and then a minute later Charlie walks into the kitchen holding Alan's hand, having dragged him from the front room into the kitchen. And from that moment on, it seemed that Charlie had taken a liking to Alan, and this meant that I got jumped on by Poppy for most of the time. She sort of took up all my attention because Charlie was busy playing with Alan more or less the whole time. When I say playing, I mean more, it was more Charlie jumping on Alan, giggling, wanting to be thrown about a bit. Basically, he wanted a little bit of rough and tumble, I guess, and this was much easier for Alan because, as most men probably find, they find little boys easiest to deal with rather than little girls because they can have a bit of rough and tumble and a bit of messing around like that. And Charlie seemed to really enjoy it this time, so I was really pleased about that. It was good to see. And so, as you can see, as time goes by, children are going to change. They're going to do whatever they're ready for. And it seems that this time, Charlie was ready for his Uncle Alan, and he just wanted to play with him. Like I say, though, it's going to be different with every child and every situation. Everyone deals with things in different ways. They've got different experiences with kids. And every autistic child is going to have their own little ways. But I do think it's good to persevere and try to just make sure that the child knows that you're in their life, so that when they are ready, if they are ever ready, then they can come to you and they know who you are. And I think it's really important for the parents as well to see that you're making an effort to interact with their child, even if it doesn't always go right. I think just making the effort is always going to make a difference to the parents. It's going to make them happy that you are trying your best and that you are trying to be part of the child's life. Because when it comes down to it, that this is a child, it's the same as any other child. They want their family to be involved, they want their friends to be involved. So I think it's great all round. If anybody's got any questions they'd like to put to me, that they'd like an answer from my perspective as a family member, sort of watching from afar. I'm on the phone to Amy most days, and I know what's going on, but I don't live nearby. If there's anything you'd like to ask of me, please ask and I'll address it in another video. Thanks. Bye bye.